Good evening, everyone. My name is Ron Kath. I'm the Vice Chair of the Public Services Commission. I'm filling in and helping out our Chair, Lisa, with a little bit of fighting her cold right now, so I'm more than happy to step in. This meeting is being held tonight. It is, I think, the 17th, St. Patrick's Day, and we all showed up, and not too many people in green. The meeting is starting at 7 o'clock. We're at Council Chambers. With that, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Our first item on our agenda this evening is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is our roll call. Okay, it's taken, thanks. Next item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to the next item, and that's the approval of our minutes from our January 27th meeting. Again, I'll ask for a motion to accept those meeting minutes.
I move.
Okay, there's a motion.
I'll second it.
And a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. With that, we'll move into open forum right now. Open forum is a process within our commission that folks can come forward on any different issue. I know we have some presentation and folks are going to talk to us. We'll wait till we call you at that point. Is there I don't see anybody else in the audience that might want to come forward. All right, then we'll move past open forum and we'll move into our agenda item number 7. And it's a presentation this evening of the Girl Scouts pedestrian safety presentation. Ryan, are you going to kick it off or?
Yep, I can introduce it, the topic here. So we do have Girl Scout Troop 57482 here to talk about pedestrian safety. In Cottage Grove, they have a short presentation that they're going to give, which I believe they also gave recently to the school board as well. So if they want to come up, everything should be set for them to give their presentation.
Hello, we are Troop 57482. My name is Kinsley. That's Natalie, that's Julia, and that's Nix. Unfortunately, one of our members, Genevieve, couldn't make it tonight. We have a Take Action project that we are going to be talking about tonight.
Our goals are to create safer walking routes for pedestrians, make it easier for kids who don't have rides, and inform and address the community of hazardous walking patterns among walkers. What a Take Action project is. A project that helps us with the Silver Award, a problem we have noticed within the community. Our Take Action project is focused on kids who walk to and from school and is meant to improve safety for children and pedestrians.
Our main proposal is to add shortcut trails, which will benefit walkers who are looking to cut their time while traveling to school. We would also like to inform the community and drivers of unsafe walking patterns to and from school so they can be aware that kids may be crossing at unsafe intersections. We would also like to enforce a lower speed limit in school zones to decrease the chance of injury in pedestrians and walkers. And we would like to specifically add crosswalks and flashing crosswalk signs as well as trails for shortcuts that kids have been using. And the main reason we are doing this is because around Cottage Grove, we have many schools, and we would like to mention that our plan is specific to Cottage Grove in a way that we have a wide variety of ages and grades. Our plan is made to benefit all these ages with a special note to keep school walkers in mind. I have some stop sign info that we researched. A 24 by 24 inch stop sign is $37.75. A 30 inch by 30 inch stop sign is $54.25. A 12 inch by 36 inch crossing sign is $52.25. And a 24 inch by 24 inch crossing sign is $44.95. We have some upcoming maps in the presentation, and I would like you to note that we would like to put 2 stop signs around Oatman Middle School and 1 crosswalk around Oatman Middle School. We would also like to put 6 to 9 stop signs around Cottage Grove Middle School and at least 3 crosswalks around Cottage Grove Middle School.
This is important because we need to plan the routes with the students in mind and not who we want them to be. For around half of the school year in Minnesota, the weather and accessibility is harder for students. The weather being cold and unsafe gear can lead to hypothermia and frostbite. Kids also have to walk through bad weather longer than needed, which can interfere with their sleep schedules and how late they are to school. Because of the seasons, it's a lot darker in the morning, and when kids need to cross, it's harder for cars and other vehicles to see them, which can increase the risk of crashes and injury. Walkers in our troop have experienced people that we know getting into crashes when they are trying to get to school. Busing zones are being expanded. Kindergartners through 6th graders is for more than 1 mile, 6th graders and 8th graders for more than 1.5 miles, and 9th grade to 12 more than 2 miles. I personally can't imagine a kindergartner having to walk less than a mile to school, well, like a mile to school because they don't have a bus. On these maps, we have the 2 general areas where we want to put either signs or crosswalks for the students to cross. At Oatman Middle School, one of the places we would like to put a sign or better visible areas for people to cross is because there is a hill over there, and it is a lot harder to see them when you're especially coming up on that hill. I know I have encountered a few close calls trying to make sure that drivers could see me when I was trying to get my way to school. At Cottage Grove Middle School map, near Park High School, there is a big hill surrounding the area, and it is a lot harder for kids to get to school when they have to deal with those hills. On our next slide, we have a few pictures of the Oatman intersection, the second picture being the hill coming up to the place where students want to walk. And on the last picture is where we want to put a crosswalk for students to cross. We do need to keep in mind that kids have to walk more than a mile to school when following roads and other paths instead of just the mile radius of the school walking zone. These are our sources where we found the stop signs and everything else.
All right, well, girls, if you could please stay up there. We might have a question or two for you. But as we get started, first of all, I just want to thank you girls for coming forward. Thought you did a really nice job. I love the PowerPoint that you put together too. So it gives us an opportunity to have a discussion now and talk about your proposal. And then if we feel, we'll give staff some guidance at that point. But if you wouldn't mind, please stay, and then we'll, if we have any questions. Commissioners, before we kind of talk, any questions that you might have for the troop?
Yeah, I have a question. First of all, again, thank you for being here and being involved in making the community safer. So really appreciate your presentation. Just wanted to understand, could you talk a little bit about how you picked the locations? Did you observe situations
We
or?
picked the locations based on places we know it's unsafe where walkers do need to cross, and places that students most often cross in order to get to school on time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
No, I don't have any questions, but thank you so much. Nice job, nice presentation. Fantastic meme, by the way, the frozen one. Yeah, it was fantastic.
I would also like to mention one other thing. On 65th Street, the speed limit is around like 50 miles an hour. and they don't consider that area a school zone, but kids still have to pass through there.
Yep.
That's a great point.
No, actually, being a school bus driver, I drive that road a lot, so you guys have picked some really good intersections to have us at least deliberate and talk about. So I commend you that you put a lot of time and effort in this, even researching the cost of the signs, where we could actually put some signage at least to identify some safer zones. Because I think the other thing that maybe I thought about too, when you talk about safety, and especially during the school year, it's a lot darker too. You know, we don't have a lot of daylight once fall kind of gets late in fall and winter, and our kids are walking at that time, and you were totally correct on the walking distances. You know, for a mile for a kindergartner is too far, you know, and even, you know, the middle school, it's a mile and a half right now. And you probably learned at the school board too, you know, they have the different types of roads where if it's a certain speed limit, then the kids, we don't want them crossing and they will be bused at that point. So I know at least the school district has put those type of guardrails out there to help, and from a safety perspective, one of that actually used to serve on the school board, it was always our concern of our walkers out there at that point. So I guess what I'd like to do is maybe open it up a little bit to Ryan and say if staff has taken any type of a look at this and seen what, you know, because some of them seem realistic, and I don't know why we couldn't put a sign up, because especially the Oatman one right away, coming up 65th, you know, you've got the walking path that comes out of the park. There's kind of that walking path on the, I'll get my directions the wrong way. You come out of the subdivision, there's a path, you go across 65th, and then we're on the sidewalk. So to me, it seems like I see a lot of people crossing there, not only kids going to school, but even people out walking in the afternoon, just going for a park or for a walk.
Yep, certainly. So Commissioners, a lot of good information here, and I want to thank the Girl Scout troop as well for being here tonight and giving a great presentation. It's definitely something that we will look at, and there could be a few different things. There could be ones that are maybe more obvious, you know, kind of things that we could implement and don't really need a lot of study. You know, something like 65th Street is always a little harder because it is a county road. And obviously the county is just as concerned about pedestrian safety. One of the challenges, because the speed limit was mentioned, that is a 50-mile-an-hour road. And when you're talking about those kind of speed limits, if it's something like a crosswalk at an intersection, it's always a legal place to cross, but most studies show that, you know, just adding a sign or crosswalk bars can actually increase accidents because it can maybe give a little false sense of security. So those are things we want to look really closely at and work with the county on to make sure what we're doing is really the safest approach. We also kind of want to look holistically. I think there's a lot of good information here for both middle schools. And like I said, we'll probably look at all of it first, see if there's easier things to implement. Certainly by Cottage Grove Middle School, you're talking lower speed roads with Indian Boulevard, where it can be very appropriate to have additional crosswalk signage, crosswalk markings, things like that. The other thing I want to mention is the city was successful in getting what's called an SS4A grant, so it's Safe Streets and Roads for All, something along that line. So it's a federal grant that we got of $352,000, and then we got a matching state grant for the remaining 20% to get us up to $440,000 to look at kind of pedestrian safety holistically in our city. The only unfortunate thing is with some of the federal funding freezes right now. We've been told to pause all work on that and not move ahead, but we're confident that'll get worked out. We'll be able to implement that grant. So this would be, I think, great information. That'll actually result in, there'll be kind of like a technical committee at the city from all the different departments. So from public safety, public works, engineering, you know, even community development will all be involved in this committee. There'll probably be a lot of presentations at a commission like this on the work. So I think taking this information and incorporating it into that study. What's also nice is there was money for like pilot projects. So it wasn't just about a study. We could actually implement some real work, right? If there's new crosswalks, things like that, there was actually a portion of the funding that we can actually do real projects with as well. Assuming that that grant can move ahead, we would start that work here in the summer and do the study part of it summer, fall, and winter, and we could implement some pilot projects as well in that same time frame. So that'd be kind of our approach, like I said, twofold. Look at the easier stuff, and then the more challenging ones, work with the county and look with that grant if the commission sees that as a good option.
So one quick question, Ryan. Do you think you would have looked at these locations without the girls coming forward?
I would say a lot of our, what we take is public input, so I wouldn't say that we would necessarily have targeted these, right? Because it's such a big city with so much going on, a lot of what we take is public input, whether it be sign requests or something like this presentation. So it is really helpful to have these, because no one knows the issues like the people using them, right? As staff, we know the city, really well, but the residents and the students using our infrastructure know it better than anyone, and they can bring those issues to us in a way that we can't probably as effectively do. So I think this actually is really helpful to target areas like this.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I just wanted them to feel like this is actually, it's not just me coming in and presentation just to do something.
Yep.
There might be some action that'll come out of this, and I think you girls should be very proud of that, bringing your voices forward.
I have one quick question. So you mentioned that you would get a silver, this is for a silver badge or a project. How do you know at the conclusion, you mentioned something earlier in the PowerPoint, there was a purpose behind this, or no, did I miss?
This contributes to our silver award project, as in it's helping us push towards our goal, like as in to focus on our silver award project when we finish up our Take Action project.
Okay.
This is the goal for this is to make sure that pedestrians and students can go through the crosswalks without having to feel like they're always at risk of getting into a crash.
So then are you tracking this project, or will we stay in touch with them so as we move forward, they can?
Yep, so a good question. So at a staff level, we would stay in touch
Thank you.
with the Girl Scout troop. Our engineering division, specifically one of our project engineers, has been communicating so far. It may transition to our graduate engineer. She's going to be more involved with the SS4A project. So we would stay in communication with them just to kind of let them know where we're at. Because we always want to give feedback and not feel like it's, going into a hole and what's coming out of it. So yep, we would definitely communicate throughout the process.
Awesome.
Perfect.
And we can give you Ryan's number if he doesn't get back to you too, okay? We won't tell you where he lives, but at least give you that stuff, okay?
No worries, I'm right on the website, so I'm easy to track down. So.
City's not that big.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Are there any other questions?
No?
Well, again, girls, thank you so much for bringing this forward, okay? And enjoy the rest of your school year. I heard a number of them are 8th graders, so they'll be moving on to high school here pretty quick. So good luck to you girls the rest of the school year, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, then, we'll move into agenda item 8, which is our business item this evening, and it's Granada Park parking update.
All right. Well, just a quick update on this project. We had a good, lot of discussion back in the fall. I think it was probably at the November commission meeting where we had the public invited to talk about at that time a potential parking restriction related to some issues going on at Granada Park. This was the slide and what we talked about, back then. You've got Granada Avenue, and there was a request from the public to look at a no parking zone on the west side of Granada Avenue. A lot of good discussion at that time with some direction to kind of go back and maybe revisit some other parking enhancement ideas. It also went back to the Parks Commission as well to look at this, so they had a lot of good discussion at a previous meeting. If you recall, I think the direction wasn't necessarily to do the parking restriction right away, only because that's not necessarily solving the issue of, right, there's a lot of extra parking with all the pickleball use. It was just kind of moving the issue, right? Is it just moving it outside of the parking restriction? There was discussion about like a dedicated parking lot. However, that was going to take up a lot of that open green space, which is really nice to have at Granada Park. So at a staff level, what we looked at was doing kind of like we have on Indian Boulevard for Pine Tree Valley Park, and doing just dedicated perpendicular parking that we can construct pretty cost effectively. And right now we showed 9 stalls. We'll fit that to what makes the most sense to try and not impact all the boulevard trees and things like that. This was the direction that the Parks Commission felt best, for the park, to provide some dedicated parking but not impact the park in a major way. And really, when we're looking at the cost here, we would have to hire a contractor to do like the curb and gutter work, but the paving we would do in-house with our Public Works Department. So a very, low-cost approach here to provide some good additional dedicated parking. So right now, just wanted to give an update to the commission on that's kind of the direction that we're proposing to go. And then we'll continue to monitor the issue. The Parks Department will see, is this sufficient? Do we need to add more of this? There's plenty of room to add this dedicated perpendicular parking with not having that big impact to the park. So no specific recommendation needed from the commission. And I just want to give the update, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, kind of where we are at in this situation.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. I'll open it up to my fellow colleagues here. Any questions or?
No, I thought it was a great solution versus cutting in and taking a big chunk of the park. So nice job, I think, kind of trying to accommodate the parking without losing a lot of green space. So
Thank you.
yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, it's almost like you guys have done this before. That's a fantastic solution. Seriously, fantastic solution.
Yeah.
I think it's a good middle ground, right? It doesn't provide quite the number of spaces that a dedicated parking lot does, but this work we can really easily do mostly in-house and work well with that park budget. And, obviously limited budgets, we want to spread that across the city as best we can, so.
So the park on Indian Boulevard, that has the same kind of parking stalls. That one has a hockey rink with it, so those stalls get plowed all winter. Would these be plowed in the winter, since that park, I don't know if it gets used in the winter time? 'Cause
I think
don't
we
believe
would, like the pickleball, you're right, there wouldn't be a lot of use. I think having that there just to make sure drainage and everything is working properly, we probably would continue to plow them all winter. Just because the way the gutter and everything will work once we do this, it's best for us to make sure we're plowing it all winter.
Okay, good. I too felt that it was a nice compromise on what was originally proposed, and, be excited when the council gets to when you bring it forward to them and see what they think too, so.
Yep.
And maybe that's a good reminder for the public too, right? Before it's ever approved, it'll go before council for an open dialogue, correct me if I'm wrong?
So there will be some work that council would see. It's pretty minor, so it's not like a big quote project that the council would see. But, I think we would probably just mention it when we're talking about budgeting and things like that. I think we would like to implement it this year, but the Parks Department feels pretty comfortable that they have the funds to implement it this year. So it'd be more of something in our council updates and such to let them know that this is the direction we're going.
Okay, and what about the residents, especially the ones that came before us?
Yep.
Are they been notified, obviously through our commission?
Yep.
If they're watching tonight, before the agendas and stuff, but are we gonna go back and try to let those folks know on that street?
Yep, I think what our plan would be is now that this commission's seen it, we kind of close the loop on everything. There would be another mailing that would go out just to update them on, this is the direction we're going right now. We're not looking at the parking restriction, and let them know we'll continue to monitor the situation.
Okay,
I think this would also be a fantastic solution to their concerns too, right? The parking in front of the driveways or close to the driveways, like you'd said, you're gonna plow it in the wintertime. It could still act as parking for, holidays and that type of stuff, wherever parking would be densest in that area.
Yep.
Rather than having to restrict parking by their driveways, they can have people park there.
Yep. And another nice thing, I think, when you have this dedicated perpendicular parking, people are more inclined to use it. I think when you're parking on a street anyways, depending on the direction they come from, they're gonna park on that side of the street. So even if it's not busy, they might have still parked against those residents' driveways, but now that you have dedicated parking, I think the idea is people will be more inclined to use that first before they're parking on the roadway.
Feel the dream style.
Exactly.
and Ryan, my last question was with regards, because it was one resident that came before us at the commission.
Yep.
I remember you guys were gonna go back and talk to more people in the neighborhood. Did we get any more feedback?
There was never any more feedback or responses from the letter that we had sent. So I think it was mostly the one resident who had the biggest concern.
Okay.
And he's the one who had initially brought it up. We had sent the letter to a bigger group just to try and see if there's any other questions or concerns, but nothing at this time. So when we send out the additional letter, we'd still have contact info. So if people have questions, they can still reach out on this solution. So.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you again. Any other last departing questions or comments?
All right.
All right, well,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thank you, Ryan. With that, we can move into agenda item 9. That's our commissioner comments. Anybody have any comments they'd like to share this evening? I'm seeing shakes of heads. No? Okay. We'll move on to our staff reports this evening. Ryan or John first, or?
I'll mention one thing. First, my name is Dave Clausen. Hello. I'm new to city government. I've just been elected this year, and I'm trying to meet with all the commissions, or at least attend all the meetings to show my face, say hello. Dave Thiede is the official representation, so consider me Dave 2.0, I guess. Dave wasn't able to make it tonight. If you have any questions, I'm easy to get a hold of on the city website. I also want to thank the Girl Scouts for coming. What a great presentation. So after your idea leaves the commission, it comes to the city council in most cases to make sure that the city, of course, has the money to spend. That's a item, but it sounds like we do. I also want to give you kudos for doing the research on the cost of signs. I think your costs are probably better than what we can make them for. Anyway, thank you so much. All right, thanks.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, and I can keep going here with my talking for the night. So as usual, I'll let Gary Orloff talk more about some of the street stuff, but a few other project-related things. We have projects out to bid right now. So we have our pavement management project for 2025. That's going to be the Hidden Valley neighborhood, which is Councilmember Clausen's neighborhood, along with Councilmember Thiede. So that'll be a good project for this year. The bids came in quite favorable, so they were about $400,000 under engineer's estimate. So that's a good start to the project. And what's nice is when you're talking about a project like that, asphalt paving, some of these concerns about tariffs and such are not really all that applicable. So, we're not seeing issues with that, and oil prices are still at a good spot right now. So that was good. Our mill and overlay project for 2025 is also is out to bid, or will be out to bid here shortly. That one it's kind of a combination. We have neighborhoods in the Timber Ridge neighborhood, kind of north of 70th Street, as you go north on Hardwood, that area. Then also Hardwood Avenue will be mill overlaid as well. That's a road that definitely needs some pavement maintenance to keep it in good drivable condition. So we would do 70th Street to 80th Street. The other thing that is happening is a signal being installed at Hardwood Court and Hardwood Avenue. With that project. That intersection was specifically designed for a signal. We can just basically put the poles right in. We have to do some pedestrian ramp updates because since the road was built, the standards are different now, but otherwise it was set up perfectly for a signal. And there's been a lot of talk on that. I had some additional information for the council when that went out to bid, just because, obviously making sure we aren't creating a new East Point in Jamaica. That Hardwood Court feels really close to 80th Street. But it actually is about twice the distance that the old signals by Target used to be, with about half the traffic. So it's a much more appropriate situation with that signal spacing. So kind of following the plan that was implemented 20 years ago when that road was first built. So you will see that installed this summer as well, but not a great impact during construction because, like I said, it's mostly just erecting the signal poles on the side of the road. So
Can I just ask, is
Yeah.
that the intersection by like Goodwill
Yes.
and Kohl's? Okay.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay.
So yep, so you're going into Kohl's the one way and Goodwill the other. We did look at a roundabout as well. Obviously, when we can, roundabouts can be a great solution, but there, the traffic is really not balanced very well at all. There's still a lot more traffic on Hardwood, so the signal has some benefit there. The other part is just, we would have needed to have required a very large amount of right-of-way to do a roundabout, because that wasn't contemplated 20 years ago. And there is only one way in and out for those business areas, and there is no way to build that roundabout without at least closing one side.
Sure.
So it was just not a feasible solution to do a roundabout, but the signal was always planned and it'll work well. Another project that we have out for bids called the High Zone Raw Water Main, kind of an interesting name, but what we're doing is we have the new treatment plant being built by the fire station. We have two city wells. Well 11 is in Highlands Park and well 12 is in Sunny Hill Park. We have to connect that by a dedicated water main to that treatment plant. So it's about a $7 million project to snake a very large diameter, 2.5 mile long water main from those wells to the new treatment plant. So very challenging project, but we have a good plan in place, and that's out to bid right now to do that work this summer, and that's fully funded by the 3M settlement, so no cost to the city at all. So that's probably the big project updates I would say for this year. In terms of our different divisions, like I said, Gary will cover streets. One thing I do want to mention is plowing, because we had the big wet snowstorm 2 weeks ago, and now they're starting to hint at maybe snow on Wednesday. Just reminding folks, those big wet snowstorms are a challenge. So this time of year, everyone has removed all their plow stakes, and when you have a fresh 11 inches of snow or 6 inches of snow, our drivers, it's really hard to know where's the curb, if you're on a sidewalk, where's the edge of the sidewalk. So they do their best, they really try, they know the routes really well, but there was still a lot of, I call it plow damage, right, during that storm, and it's just inevitable. There's no way around it, and none of it is intentional. And it's amazing, you know, we had all those little 1-inch snowstorms this winter that we can clean those up in 6 hours. Well, this one, I still think we did an amazing job. By noon, roughly, we had basically 2 passes in every direction, all the roads passable. But we were still getting calls at 10, 11. When are you going to plow my road? Why is it not done? And I know from other friends, you know, other cities, it was 3, 4, 5 o'clock before they even saw the first plow. So people just need a little more patience on these days. These big wet snowstorms take a long time to remove. And if we get this on Wednesday again, we just look for everyone's patience as well as we manage it. So with that, I'll turn it over to Gary.
Put those stakes back in the ground.
Yes, exactly.
Mine are still there.
It's warm enough, the ground is thawed out.
I'm optimistic, but I'm not that optimistic. Those things are still in the ground.
Well, good evening. So one thing with Ryan, if he's talking about the plow damage, they can call Public Works 651-458-2808 or go on the website and report plow damage. Third week of May, we typically get out and put black dirt out, seed and hydro mulch it. So just report it, we'll take care of it. If we damaged it, we'll fix it. Let's hope the storm misses us because we're already out sweeping. We started last Wednesday, we got out sweeping the main roads. Our big sweep with McPhillips Sweeping, which received the contract this year, will be April 14th, weather permitting. We're still out tree trimming in-house, the 8-inch and under trees. Our contractor is still south of 90th. Hopefully be finishing up by the middle of April. Potholes, we already started filling potholes. Pretty minor season for us in Cottage Grove. Our roads are pretty good shape. They actually opened up a hot mix plant in St. Paul, so we'll be switching from cold mix to hot mix. So if anyone else, any residents, anybody driving sees any kind of potholes, report it to Public Works and we'll get out there and fix them. That's about all I have for right now. Let's fingers crossed that the storm stays south of us, so.
Thanks, Gary.
Any
Thanks.
questions?
Any questions?
No.
I have one quick one for Ryan. I know we had some disruptions with the Jamaica, East Point Douglas intersections and all that. Do we foresee any more disruption, or is that sewer work all done now, or?
Oh, that's a good question. That should be all done. And what that was is after the contractor was done, they installed a lot of new concrete pipe. We do post-construction televising, so we have a contractor run a camera through there and look at all of it. And they had identified some cracked sections of pipe, so the contractor had to install a special liner inside of it. So that was the work that had to be done, and that should be all wrapped up. Some people asked on Facebook, why didn't you do this during the project? Well, it was work that they already did and they had to repair, so we're really holding the contractor accountable. A lot of agencies don't do that televising afterwards. It's installed and they're done. So we do that extra step, and those would have been pipes if we didn't do this work. Instead of lasting 50 years, they might last 10, 20 years before they start failing. So it's important work to do, but I know it was a headache for those handful of days to have that. I mean, probably some bad memories from the previous 2 years. So, so it was quick in and out as good as much as they could, and we should be wrapped up.
Okay, thanks. And then one last one, is there any pressure we can put on the state with the roundabout there to get the lines painted when spring gets here? And, because I know they did a little bit of work, but it seemed like they didn't finish the job. Is there anything we can put pressure on the state?
So I actually have already connected with them, and they will be back out as soon as the conditions are appropriate to finish it. There was some confusion on there, and they did what they felt was all the MnDOT striping. If you look at what was left, it was like the crosswalks going onto Jamaica and West Point. They thought that was city, but that is actually all MnDOT-owned striping. So so they did not finish it last year, so they will be out and finishing that as soon as the weather allows this year.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was gonna actually ask about that water main. It's 2 miles, you said. Is that, I think we discussed this, I wanna say I asked a question like November. Is that taking place on all city-owned property slash, like, I think you mentioned the power lines right away there?
Yep, so that is, I would say, 99% all city right-of-way or city park property. And actually, like those power lines, the city owns the underlying property, and the power lines just have an easement over it. There's one section we have to cross from the power lines under Pine Tree Valley Park by Indian Boulevard there. We do have a city outlaw with a trail, but it's not quite wide enough. There's a sewer running through there, some other utilities already. So we did have to acquire a small easement from a homeowner. We're actually directionally drilling under their property, so there won't be any actual impact. And they are being compensated. There's kind of a standard process to do an appraisal for that easement, and they're being compensated for that easement.
And that's all mostly trenched pipe inlay, but that you have to do some directional.
Yep, that's correct. So anywhere we're in the park or like just in a city street, we do open trench because we do ductile iron pipe. And with our soils, with all the big boulders, it actually can be challenging to directionally drill in Cottage Grove, but we will drill it under that single family property. It's not under the home, it's right on the edge of their yard, and then under Pine Tree Valley Park, so we're not impacting the park as well.
Fantastic, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Move over to John.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. We got two things for you tonight. First of all, we've ended February, not as quite as busy as January, but we still are up about 18% in our call volumes for the year. So despite January being closer to 25% compared to last year, we're still incredibly busy, which actually is a great segue into some exciting news. As I may have mentioned at January's meeting, and it was also in our strategic plan, that one of our goals within the 5 years since this plan was to do something called the Standards of Cover and Community Risk Assessment, which brings in an outside firm to do like a comprehensive study of how we deliver fire and emergency services, EMS services in our community. So in December, we put it out for request for proposals. We got over 6 proposals came back to us, and then we went through the process of evaluating them. We did interviews in the beginning of March, and we've chosen a finalist to do that. So right now, we're just drafting a contract, a professional service contract with them, and that should go to the council, the first council meeting in April, which would be April 2nd. Once that is finalized, it's about a 6-month process in which they'll come in, evaluate everything about us, and give us some recommendations on kind of the best steps forward to provide comprehensive fire and emergency services to our city. And that includes what to do with Station 4, as that is not really a staff station anymore, and what we can do to be more efficient and effective in how we deliver services. So it's a really exciting development for us. Many other communities have done these studies. In terms of communities our size, this is definitely a time when you kind of eclipse that 40,000 mark where you really got to evaluate how you deliver services and such. So I think there's a great timing for us, and really thankful to our council for allowing us to budget for this year, and then look forward to their approval or remarks on it when we bring it to council for them. So, so hopefully see that finalized in early April. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, John. With that, then, we can move her back over to Councilperson Clausen. If there's any updates from the council you'd like to share with the commission this evening?
Not that I can think of right now.
All right.
John's done a pretty good job. Thanks.
No? Oh, sure.
Yeah, I should have added, with Captain Peterson not here tonight, we got Sergeant Hensler here that can give an update as well quick.
Oh, thanks.
So, thank you, Commission. I know I've been to a couple meetings now, so your faces look familiar. I might be familiar too with my suit that I wear Mondays and Tuesdays normally. I'm Detective Sergeant Justin Hensler at the Cottage Grove Police Department. Been here for about 11 years now. Currently assigned to the investigative unit, but I wanted to cover a couple things on the police side. One, thank you again for coming in and presenting on that. I was an SRO at Cottage Grove Middle as well as Oatman Middle School, so I know exactly what problems you guys are talking about, so it's a great hit. On the police side, we have 6 new hires. 3 were laterals that were coming from the county or other agencies. The other 3, 3 started immediately. The other 3 are starting in waves once they finish their post license. So 6 total hires for this year. 2 of them are active CSOs, and then 1 is in our CSO cadet program. And that's where we'll help pay for their schooling to become a police officer for the city of Cottage Grove. Tomorrow night, or it's today Monday, Wednesday night, swearing in for Therapy Canine Riggs for Cottage Grove Police Department. He's a cutie, a little golden lab or golden retriever mix. So if you guys are attending that meeting, you'll get to see Mr. Riggs. We also have our social worker that we have embedded within our police department. I'm not sure if Jen has come in and talked to your guys' commissioner, the city council. I know she's gonna make some appearances here pretty soon. Fantastic to have a social worker embedded with our police department, working with our person in crisis calls and mental health services that she brings from the county. So that's staffed from Washington County, and we help pay for that and then employ her here at Cottage Grove. And then for new equipment updates for the department, we have new tasers, which are called the Taser 7s, that are coming in. It's a new updated version of what we currently carry as a less lethal device on our belts. So I'll open it up to say thank you to the commission and everybody in attendance if you have any questions.
Any questions?
I saw a picture of Riggs, and he's got to be your most popular
Very.
member of the force right now.
Yeah, our Facebook posts go up a lot. For our likes. So
Yeah,
it's good. We got to put him up there about every 2 weeks so we
Yeah.
can get some more likes.
Yeah.
Google Analytics, so it's fine.
Awesome. Well, thanks for filling in this evening for us then.
Thank you.
All right, well, that takes care of all of our staff and council comments. That leaves us our last item on our agenda, and that's, we're adjourned. Thank you all.